So, Ben, do you accept that if the Americans and Israelis do not get the enriched uranium out of Iran, this is not victory, it is a failure, the war will have been lost?
I think there's two ways you can look at that. And again, this is coming from a military mindset. Number one is I talk to people in the military, they say, look, if they can't access it, right, if we bomb it in and we push it in and they can't access it anymore, that could be considered a victory from a military standpoint perspective. And again, this is way above my pay grade. That's why I ask other people questions that are experts. Would we love to get it out? Yes. But if we can't get it out and they can't get it out, that can be a victory. It depends on where it is. It depends on how much we bombed it. It depends on how secure it is if it stays in the ground there. So I don't say it's only one or the other, success or failure. It depends on the information on the ground. And if it is in a place where they're like, no one's going to be able to get to this, we can't get to it, neither can they, it's now unusable, that's a success as well. But I'd love to get it out of there. Yes, I don't like Iranians having anything close to it or having it in their backyard.
The problem is,
if you put it in the ground, it's done, it's done.
Let me come back to Dave. I mean, the problem is I've got increasingly limited confidence in the statements about the state of Iran's uranium and ability to build a bomb because of what happened last summer. I believed what I was told, that after the 12-day war, that was it. The threat had been neutralized. They couldn't build a nuclear weapon. That was it. And here we are in March. This was last summer. And in March, now we're being told they've got all this enriched uranium. None of it got removed last time. It's still there. And how are we going to know whether we've removed it from their ability to use it or not? We're not going to know. So, unfortunately, that to me doesn't look like a very substantive victory claim to me. It's just going to muddy the waters again.
That's right. That's right. I mean, and look, the fact that the goalposts just get moved so much, and like you said, Pierce, not that long ago, just last summer, where all the people who supported the 12-day war were boasting and demonizing anybody who opposed it as what a success this was because we obliterated their nuclear program. But like, if we have to go back and fight a whole new war right now over that nuclear threat, then that was wrong. Then you got to admit you were wrong about it back then.
From Trump.
And if not, but
here is the quote from Trump, Dave. This is last year, after the 12-day war, I don't think they'll ever do it again. They've had it. It was a complete obliteration. They were set back decades. Turned out decades was actually 9 months.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, this is just too ridiculous to stand. And if I could just go back to the last point there, because, seeing as how this whole thing started off of my claim of the U.S. regime being the biggest terrorist organization in the world, I mean, even if we are to accept Ben's interpretation of what Donald Trump was saying here, if you were just saying like, no, the Stone Age means we take out all the bridges and all the electricity, like, okay, but what does that mean? Well, hey, Ben, listen, we said the one thing was we're not going to interrupt. You've interrupted every time I've spoke, and I haven't done it once to you. So let me finish making a point here. So what does that mean? What does it mean when you take out the electricity to a civilian population of 90+ million people? It means babies on incubators die. It means people have heart attacks in their homes and can't get to the hospital because the bridge has been taken out. It means like the worst, most brutal level of human suffering inflicted intentionally on a civilian population. And if you want to sit here and play all these games where like it's terrorism whenever any of them do it, but it's counterterrorism if America or the Israelis do it, I mean, fine. It's like you picking on me for saying quagmire. Instead of quagmire, disaster, whatever word you want to use. At the end of the day, what you're talking about here is terroristic in nature.
Serious question.
Obama and Joe Biden had horrible foreign policies in a million different ways. But it's not true that appeasement didn't work. They had a deal. If 60% enriched uranium was the big concern, well, Iran was down to like 3% enriched uranium until Donald Trump tore it up. Now, there were sunset provisions in the JCPOA, and perhaps it would have been better to try to strengthen them, to try to come up with a better deal here. But instead, at the behest of the Israelis, Donald Trump insisted on these ridiculous negotiating strategies. This no enriched uranium at all, no civilian nuclear program, no intercontinental ballistic missiles, no supporting Hezbollah or Hamas or any of this. And this was never going to lead to a deal.
Support a terrorist organization.
Well, it's not.
You think we should allow that?
Great thing. It's not such a great thing when it leads to this.
And
now,
Ben,
is it?
and Ben, the
it's
point I
leading
would
to
make,
death and destruction.
Ben, the question I have for you is, Ben,
Oh,
if
that's
he
what you
just
got.
said
Hang on,
that we
hang on,
should
hang
allow
on, hang
Iran
on,
to
hang on,
sponsor
Ben.
terrorist organizations.
Ben, if
he
you're
just said we should allow them in the deal to like sponsor Hamas and Hezbollah.
Ben,
like, what the hell world are we living
Ben,
in?
let me ask you a question. Ben, if you're
You're
position,
the terrorist, Ben. You're the terrorist.
Ben, if your position,
I'm a terrorist.
Hang
okay.
on, Ben. If your position is that if a nation espouses a desire to wipe out another country, then the country on the receiving end has an absolute right to not just defend itself, but attack the country threatening them, right? That's the defense for, right?
I think it also has to be based on, do they have the ability to do this?
So
right?
assuming ability.
So
here's my
are they
question.
trying to get the ability to do it?
When the president of a country says publicly that he is going to, well, I'll read it again. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want it to happen, but it probably will. When a president of a country says that, presumably by your definition, Iran would now be perfectly entitled to attack the United States.
I think Iran's already been attacking the United States of America.
No, I
That's
mean,
why we're in this conversation right now. They've killed more American soldiers than anybody else in the world.
If they wanted to attack mainland America, by your criteria, they would have an absolute moral justification.